whether he takes over again in the CPL as the league continues to expand, or he takes on another role. But that is a soccer mind you definitely don't want to lose. So while his team may not be going to the playoffs, or his former team, I should say, let's look ahead to the Canadian Premier League playoffs because they are upon us. And this year we do have a new format, right? So the semifinals are going to be 2 legs. The lower seeded team will host the first match. There's a look at the matchup. So you have Cavalry and Forge on Saturday, who will go first at 4 p.m., followed by the defending champs Pacific, taking on the regular season leaders in Atletico Ottawa at 7 p.m. This was totally our producer's idea. Love how I just threw him under the bus and then backed up. Do you want to know why? Because he's referencing things that I don't even think Ollie was born yet. So he's like, let's create a segment around a Michael J. Fox movie. Not the one everybody would know, which is Back to the Future or anything like even Teen Wolf. I'd even go Teen Wolf. No, he wants to go back to 1987 and he wants to talk about the secret of my success. Yeah. What in the actual, what are you doing, producer Lucas? What is
51 on Rotten Tomatoes, by the way. It's not one of it's not Tour de Force by Michael J. Fox or anything. I'm a huge MJ fan, but
love MJ.
It's not his best film.
No, it's
I think this is a great choice.
Oh no, this is just, it's bad on so many levels. But here's the thing. Why are we referencing the movie? We're referencing the movie because the segment is called Secret to Success. So Ollie, what is the secret to success for Tommy Wheeldon Jr. in the first round of the playoffs?
The secret to success, I think it's this centre-back partnership that's got a bit of consistency with Cavalry this season, Karifa Yao and Mason Trafford. Thinking back again on some past playoffs in the league, particularly 2019, I thought in that tie against Forge that David Edgar and Daniel Crutzen were absolutely magnificent for the 180 minutes and just rock solid and almost unbeatable. I don't think Cavalry got quite the same level from their defense during those 2 games. But you look at these 2, you look at players like Dan Klomp, Fleet, around them. I think this is a unit that could be exceptional when they need it most. So I'll be looking at Karifa Yao, who can be, I think he's had a few more difficult days this season and more ups and downs than I think maybe people expected. But on his day, he's as good as anyone in the CPL and central defense. And one of the league's most experienced players in Mason Trafford. I think that partnership has a lot of ability, and Cavalry is going to need to lean on them at certain moments here against Forge.
Okay, so now we're going to go the flip side, and we're going to go to Forge, and I want you, Gareth, to argue their case. What is the secret to success for them?
Well, I've been pretty consistent on this. They have the best squad in terms of individual talent in the Canadian Premier League, but they haven't been playing like a team, and they haven't been scoring anywhere near enough goals. They've only scored 10 goals in their last 12 games. And why haven't they been scoring? Their front 3, on paper, of the most talented attackers in the Canadian Premier League, Woobin Spasias, Taron Campbell, and Jordan Hamilton have done absolutely jack squat over the last 6 weeks. Of the last 10 goals that they've scored, let's go through the list of recent goal scorers for Forge. Poku, Olabi Belawu, Sissoko, own goal, Hujabrapor, Chouanier, Sissoko, Borges. You have to go all the way back to August 12th when Jordan Hamilton scored a 2-1 loss to Cavalry. And then August 6th, Pacia scored his last goal. And it was July 31st when Taron Campbell scored his last goal. It was in a brace in a 4-0 victory. The goals have dried up. Where are these players? Why aren't they more involved in games? It's been something that's held this team back. Their secret to success is finding a way to at least get one of these guys going. They have it in them, but we just haven't seen it.
Canadian Premier League, by the way, is also starting to release the nominees for the awards this year, and they announced the nominees for Best Under 21. Woobin Spasias is one of those. Okay, so if Ollie wasn't born in 1987, his parents, probably his grandparents, weren't even born in 1932. Producer Lucas has us going that far back.
Wow.
Because as he wants, here's the other, okay, let's talk Pacific and Atletico Ottawa. And we're going to go to a classic feature with Wayne Morris, Rosemary Lane, and Humphrey Bogart. It was Bogart's only science fiction or horror film in his career. And yeah, the return of Dr. X. What? I don't
Producer Lucas
and you
was
know what?
alive for this one.
Can I say something? I even took a course in university that was like classic films.
Me
So for the
too.
entire summer, all we did was watch black and
movies.
white movies.
Yeah.
That was not one of them. That was not one of them.
Come on.
Anyways.
Humphrey
The
Bogart.
course sounds way better than it actually is, by the way. I took one too.
Did you take it too?
Sound like a bird course, but you're just like, oh, do I have to watch this?
Ugh.
Snooze fest.
Yeah, and then you have to write reports on it.
Citizen
Anyways,
Kane ain't that good.
I'm gonna get trauma
I like
going
Citizen
back to
Kane.
school. All right, Wheels, I'm gonna start with you on this one. What is your and then you probably wonder what's the correlation between the movie and this segment? What is your X factor for a Pacific win?
Degeneration X. We should have gone WWE style.
Mm.
Marco Bustos. Ollie kind of touched on this on Monday's show, but I think that he has an advantageous matchup down that Pacific right side against Tissot or whoever is playing down the Ottawa left-hand side. The thing is, this has been a less than stellar season for Marco Bustos. I mean, this is a player that people rate, scouts rate, they rave about him. People around the Canadian game, they love Marco Bustos. I like the player too, but it's just been a down season. 2 goals, 6 assists, and 3 or 4 of them came in the first 2 or 3 games of the season. Like, it's been Saharan. It's been like a desert. It's been dried up in terms of absolute production. He has to be the X factor. He has to be the difference maker. Josh Hurd scored twice against Atletico Ottawa this season, particularly in this home match in Langford. Pacific, not a great away side, but Atletico Ottawa, the best away side in the Canadian Premier League. It's not even close. 22 goals for, just 10 against. Away from home, at home, Atletico Ottawa, just the 5th best team in the Canadian Premier League. They need to get something out of this game. They need to score goals, and Marco Bustos has to be central to it all.
Ollie, X factor though for Ottawa.
For Ottawa, I'll go along similar lines with Balou Tabla. Like, this is a player who came to the Canadian Premier League not wanting to just be a great player in this league, but to get himself back to a higher level, right? He's been at Barcelona, he's been in MLS, he's been with the Canadian men's national team, and, you know, he wants to go back to, whether it's MLS, whether it's Europe, a level that will really get him in national team contention again. I don't think that the talent of this player has ever been in question. There was some questions asked about his attitude and his commitment at CF Montreal after he returned there. That doesn't seem to have been an issue this year in Ottawa. He's played the majority of the games. He's been consistent for his team. I think he's in the player of the year conversation come the end of the season. So he's delivered everything that's been asked of him so far. But now come the really big ones, obviously, where his team is going to need, you know, so often these games we talk about in the playoffs, they're decided by a moment of magic. Some little bit of inspiration here and there that can be the difference between winning a championship and going out in the semifinals. So he's going to be the one they turn to. This is a big moment for him, I think, to firstly win a trophy here with Ottawa, but also to prove to people watching, and I think there will be people watching, that he's ready to take that step back to where he has been before.
Great stuff, guys. It all starts this Saturday. Forge Cavalry first at 4 p.m. ET, followed by Pacific Atletico Ottawa at 7.